Where are you? She screams, trapped within a cage. I need to break free. To break free, to be who I am. The woman in the depth of my core screams, set me free. Do I have the courage to let her go? Am I afraid of what her great freedom would mean to this world? Courage, courage, she screams, set me free to be magnificent, celebrated me. I wrote that poem in 2007 at 2 a.m. in the morning. And when I rolled over in my bed, I faced the beautiful face of my abuser. This is a story of lemons, maybe, perhaps. When life gives you lemonades, you're told to make, when life gives you lemons, you're told to make lemonade. What about when life is such a pulp of lemons that all that happens is that you get discarded on the compost heap? No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, you simply cannot come up for breath. This is a story of my life. And I'm going to take you on a journey with it, because in that dark organic matter, when those pulps of lemons disintegrate into compost, new life begins. And this is a story of a creation of joy in a life worth living. I guess my first experience of grit was when I was 19 years old, and my loving dad called me in, and I say that beautifully because he called me in. I was the eldest of 6 kids. I was going to college, and he called me in and he sat me down and he said, I'm sorry, we can't put you through college. It's time you helped the family now. At 19, I had no idea how to find a job, how to put a CV together, and neither were my matric results that great. But I heard about a retail store in the city, and I got myself on a taxi, actually on 4 minibus taxis, walked across one of the worst, most notorious parts of KwaZulu-Natal. I saw somebody being stabbed as I walked in my 19-year-old youth, across the path, onto a taxi, onto the building site where the retailer was going to be open. I knocked on the door and I said, I have a meeting with Mr. Blue Eyes, because I had known his name by then. Of course I didn't have a meeting, but the arrogance of youth is sometimes great. And so I had a meeting with him, and he looked at me and he said, I'm sorry, we don't have any opportunities for part-time employees. And I said, I'm not here to ask for work. I'm here to offer you an opportunity. I will go and open accounts for your store, and you pay me just for the successful accounts. He looked at me and thought I was smoking my socks. What did he have to lose? And he said to me, how many forms would you like, Nishani? And I said, I'll take 200 and I'll be back on the weekend. I was earning money before that store opened. By the time the store opened, we were having, Mr. Blue Eyes and I, having a conversation where he said to me, where would you like to work? You choose which department you'd like to work at. And that was my first experience of grit and my first experience of learning. Of course, I was the biggest earner in my family for a while and helped my parents wholeheartedly. It was my choice and it was my joy. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, then comes love. But mine was no ordinary love. It was on the ocean. Let me paint the picture. The ocean was blue, the ship sterling white. And here he was, 6 foot tall, the eyes the color of the ocean, skin the color of a Greek god. And I was in love. His British accent had me charmed beyond charmed. I was in. We were going to sail the world and change it and do acts of love all over the world. Could life get any better than that? Could it? It did. We got married. We lived on a beach cottage. We lived across the street from the ocean, chose not to have a television because we just got so much joy staring into each other's eyes. Life was blissful, absolutely blissful. And as it goes, I fell pregnant, and we were expecting our first boy. I brought him home from the hospital, and he was 6 days old when the abuse started. It started with verbal abuse, and of course, I justified that. He's an army man, 4 generations of military. You know, he's got to have some pent-up anger. I justified it, but worse still, I justified it because I loved him so much. And everybody of influence in my life at that stage said to me, be a submissive wife. Be a good wife, because they couldn't believe it. Be a good wife. What does a good wife do? She supports her husband through this. She helps him. And submission, ladies, incorrect submission without love can be dangerous. But I love this man. How could he possibly hurt me? How could he possibly hurt me? And so started a journey of eggshells, of masks, of going to a corporate in my high heels, and thank goodness for good makeup, because nobody knew the shame that I carried. Nobody understood the stigma that I lived with and the pain that I endured when I went home. Nobody understood it. Until one night, in an argument where I was protecting my son from being bullied, and remember, he was 6 foot tall, and my boy was probably about 9 or 10 years old, and he was cowering in the corner, and his father was, well, he said disciplining, but it looked like beating him. And I stepped in between, and he took a knife, and he held it to my throat. And I cowered. And when he held that knife to my throat, I looked at my boys, my 2 sons, staring back at me. And I wondered, would they ever know who their mother was? They've never seen me laugh. They don't know who I am. In fact, that poem depicts it. I didn't know who I was. I was lost. He called me derogatory names in front of the children. And to this date, when I stand up in front of the mirror and I look, I have to say, oh my gosh, you're not a whale. You're not XYZ. The language is too profane to say. But you're not that. In fact, my wake-up alarm every morning at 4:30 says, wake up, beautiful, as a reminder that I am beautiful. And a turning point came when I attended a women's development program in a corporate in one of the major banks in South Africa. And it showed me something. It showed me that I had worth, but I was hungry. I was so hungry for more. And I knew that I wanted more out of life. So at 36, I went back to university and some colleges, and I put myself through 4 qualifications concurrently. Okay? So ladies, this is possible. In the midst of all my trauma, all my heartache, I wasn't going to be the victim of my life. I knew what I wanted to gain. And you know, I gave myself permission to be angry, because the gift of anger is that it sets boundaries. We are told that we are not to be angry, that we are not to do this, that we need to be peacemakers and loving and kind. Guess what? Get angry about something and set a boundary, even if it is about a cause for social justice. I was angry for the first time in my life. And the gift of that helps me to start an exit strategy. Divorce is much like death, I guess, because you have to kill your dreams, walk away from many things. And after 3 years of planning and deciding and moving, I went to the courtroom on a Friday afternoon without a lawyer and got myself a decree of divorce with full custody of my children, because I didn't want them to come to any harm. I wish that was a happily ever after. I wish I could tell you, yay! It was, but my son went missing almost immediately. He was 13 years old, and I had missing child posters up everywhere. When I finally got him back home, he sat on the bed at 13 years old, and he said to me, "Mom, help me. I'm on heroin." And so started, ladies and gentlemen, an 8-year journey into the dark delves of addiction. There are no words. It is evil beyond evil. That is all I can tell you. It shatters the family, it breaks homes, it reverses roles. It is just awful. At one stage in a psychosis, my son held us hostage for 2 hours. And in that psychosis, he became so violent that he cracked my ribs and shattered some of my skull. I had to go to the hospital and come back and clean off that blood on my kitchen floor. I'm speaking about these today because I want to break the silence around this. It is happening in 1 in 4 homes. It is happening. My son and I have been restored, and he is on a journey back to strength. Thank God. But it doesn't negate the fact that this is happening every day. And I want to say to you that life is a choice. There are things that I've learned, and I want to take you quickly through some of the things. We come from a place of fear, or we come from a place of love. But if you come from a place of love, you can do no wrong even when you mess up. I loved myself enough to put myself through college. I loved myself enough to say no to my son and have him arrested when I needed to. Don't ever wear your wishbone where your backbone ought to be. Studying 4 qualifications meant I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the boardroom at 8 o'clock, back by 5 o'clock, being with the kids till 8 o'clock, and back in my books after that. It is possible because you are possible. It is possible. Don't be alone. You know, I've learned that by helping other people, I'm helping myself. And this work has taken me to such exciting places. I've worked with the World Health Organization on the Codeine Cares strategy. I've worked with government on social cohesion. I've worked on community projects. Mail and Guardian has recognized me as one of the top women in South Africa in 2012. It is exciting stuff because when you serve other people, you heal yourself. So this is about being active. It gives purpose. And I want to say one more thing. What has helped me the most has been gratitude. In those times when I had ice cubes in the freezer and 2 hungry faces looking at me, it was about gratitude. We had a celebration plate, and every night we ate, whoever had something to celebrate, ate off the celebration plate. It didn't need to be exciting, but it needed to be something. But it kept us from antidepressants. So I ask you, why do I stand here? I should be in a loony bin, right? Why do I stand here without antidepressants, without anxiety attacks, without any psychological need for therapy? It's a good question, isn't it? It's because it is time that we are rooted in love, in the identity of who we are in love. And it is time to be the creator of your life, to break the silence, to smash through the stigmas and say, I am possible. I am possible. It's about time, ladies and gentlemen, that we are brave enough to create a life with joy. Thank you.